Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, enjoying a nice warm cup of coffee with my collagen in it, of course, this morning. Today is day 316 of our Get Your Goals annual challenge. And this week, for the next week, I believe into Saturday, I can't remember exactly, we're going to be discussing and talking about and doing a summary and a review and an audit, whatever you want to call it, of each of the different life framework areas and aspects. The 9 life framework areas that we are talking about. The life framework I use now, and I have since 2021. Prior to that, it was a 7-part life framework. Now it's a 9-part life framework, and it's served me pretty well for the last 2 years. So I'm going to continue working with it for the next couple of years, and then maybe something else will come down the pipe, or I'll have another epiphany and I'll change my mind about how I do my goals and objectives and things. But for right now, I think it's a great framework. It covers all the areas and aspects of our life, so we don't really leave anything out. This is important for all of us, but especially for me, because I learned that by ignoring my physical well-being and my mental and my spiritual well-being and struggling in certain areas and aspects of my life and focusing too much on some and not at all on others, that can actually kill you. You can not take care of yourself enough to have a sudden cardiac arrest and die. But mine didn't stick, glad to say, and happy to still be here. But it taught me so many lessons about what I should and shouldn't be doing, what I can and can do, what I will and won't say yes to now. So this month, we are focusing on and doing an overarching review of everything that we've done this year so far, because I find it's hard to keep track of, well, what did I do in March, and how am I doing with those goals? Now I like to add and make things automatic, so I'm automatically making progress in each area and aspect of my life, whether I'm consciously paying attention to it or not. It's why I do a certain batch of affirmations every day. It's why I have a gratitude journal. It's why I listen to meditations and hypnosis, etc. Because I know that if they're in the background, they are helping me to achieve my goals and objectives on autopilot. And anything I can make automatic in my life, or a routine that serves me continually and helps me continually improve, I am all in on those things. So today we're going to look at and do a quick communication goals summary and review. And I'm going to just talk about the topics that we talked about. If you have any questions about any of these things, reach out and ask. Please ask in the comments below so other people know that they're not the only one, or you're not the only one with that question. As well as we're just going to summarize, and then our action item today and for every day this week is going to be, for each area that we're talking about, to look at, go back and look in your, I'm hoping that you've done a journal like I have for the challenge. Go back and look and say, okay, what did I soap? What did I apply the soap framework to with respect to communication in this instance, or this area of your life that we're talking about? And then what did I apply, and how am I doing? What's my status with respect to applying the goal process in this area? And we just did this in August, so it's not that long ago. It might be fresh in your mind. You might be really consciously still aware of the action steps and the things that you're doing to achieve your goal in this area. Mine, for example, I'll share that at the end, what my, and did I write it down? That's going to be the big question. I think mine had to do with, yeah, here it is. The soap, my soap was to improve my texting and the tools that I use to communicate with people. Because given my vision challenges, my personal situation, I make a whole lot of mistakes. And I know, and I still have not done it, I haven't made the leap to voice technology and just talking, because guess what, you still have to edit that. But then I have to talk and have it read it to me and hope that it's spelled right and things. So I need to find ways to make sure that was my soap, my improvement area. And then my 7-step goals process I did for improving my written communication skills, because I think I used to be a pretty good writer, but I've gotten away from writing because I don't see very well, and so I use video and speech to supplement where I would normally write and keep track of things. So what else did we talk about this month, or not this month, in August, when we talked about communication? Magnifying glass, sip of coffee. I'll try to keep this pretty brief, but you know me, I'm not always brief. So we talked about, of course, the beginning of each life framework area. We talk about, what does it mean to us? What is our definition of success or health or well-being for that area? So how do I know if I'm a successful communicator or not? How do I know, and how do I define even being a successful or a good or healthy or continually improving communicator. So first thing we do is we define what does it mean to us. Then we look at our core values around that area and our thoughts and our beliefs. We talked about modes of communication. We talked about rating ourselves. We actually rated ourselves. We brainstormed a whole list of different modes and modalities and types of communication. And then we rated ourselves on a scale, I think, of 1 to 10. 10 being awesome, 1 being, yeah, I don't even ever do that. To just get a feeling for where we were, at least in August, and where we want to be. We can take then each or any one of those skills and say, well, where do I want to be? If I'm a 4 on written communication or a 3, or heaven forbid worse than that, in my opinion, where do I, for myself, not for anybody else. Some people don't care one bit about whether they can write or not. Actually, the school systems believed that kids didn't even know how to have cursive to survive in life. So there were a few years where they actually removed cursive handwriting from the curriculum in most schools, I think. I know my nephew fell into that. It was 22 years ago or so. It wasn't that long. It was probably 17 or I don't remember. He would have been in what? That's usually in cursive in about 3rd grade. Well, whatever. They didn't do it. And there's a whole generation or half a generation of kids that don't know how to sign their name because they were never taught cursive. And my sister actually got him a workbook when we were at the bookstore the other day, a dry erase scholastic workbook to learn and practice cursive. That's how important it is. Because he's in an industry where he has to sign his name, for goodness sakes. Was this whole generations are supposed to put a big X on things? Yeah, doesn't really make sense. Okay, I digress. So we talked about modes of communication. We talked about and we brainstormed a communication area that we want to improve, or SOAP. We applied the SOAP framework to that. The story, our current and desired story. We brainstormed options. We took action after analyzing and picking an option. And I did not look at what tool we use for these. Maybe I'll do that going forward. And then progress. How do we know if we're making progress or not? Then after doing the SOAP, we talked about comfort zone and courage. We talked about the 7 whys. 7 whys. Why do we want to even have or be a communicator or a better communicator? We talked about communication styles, open and close. We did the DISC tool. We used the DISC tool to figure out our own style. And I'm an ENFP. I've been an ENFP forever, with the exception I've done 2 of these tests, and I've been an ENFJ, which is judgmental versus perceiving. So I don't know if I want to be more judging, so I'm going to try to get back to my roots of being an ENFP, because that's more in alignment with who I really am in my heart. We talked about increasing connection. We talked about enthusiasm and energy in our communication. We talked about humor in our communication, which is a challenge for me personally, as well as ethics, listening skills, we did a lifeline exercise and looked at, over the course of our lifeline and the major events that have happened in our life, what has been the impact of communication or on communication and communication skills and goals in that area. We did and talked about connection to the 9 life framework areas. And I don't have it handy, but I usually share my spider web of connections, because all the life framework areas, just like everything else in our life, is connected. I believe everything happens for a reason. We don't always understand it at the time that it's happening, but when we are able to see the lesson, we see the lesson and we move forward. We talked about a code of conduct and having our own personal communication code of conduct. How do we communicate? How do we choose to communicate? What's our intention? What's our style, etc.? And then we went through the goal process. And we spent, 7 days going through our goal process. Again, a lot like the SOAP framework. Interesting, right? With a couple of other steps at it. We start with what's our current situation, what's our desired situation. Why do we do that? Because we need to know where we are. We need to be blatantly honest with ourselves about where we are, and we need to know where we want to go. And it's maybe not the be-all, end-all result of where we want to go, but we need to know at least where we want to go next with respect to communication. Then we apply the SMART framework, because everybody applies the SMART or SMIRT. I personally prefer the SMIRT framework, but for purposes of this challenge, we're doing the SMART framework because that's what most people do. And then step 3, breaks down to steps. Step 4, we come up with a strategy and plans to achieve our goal. Step 5, we have to say, okay, How are we going to know, again, like progress? How do we measure? How do we identify milestones so that we can measure and have checkpoints along the way to achieving our goal? 6 is what resources, I guess I changed this to ours last month, what accountability, resources, and support do we have, need, and want in order to achieve this goal and objective? And then finally, step 7, how are we going to reward ourselves? How are we going to celebrate achieving our goal? That's it. So what's our action item? Think about communication. Go back and check if you're not clear in your mind, like I wasn't, what exactly we're working on, and then check in and do a quick status update in your own little audit. Where am I at? Am I still doing the things that I said I was going to do? Is there something else that's come up in communication that I really, really, really need to address right now? And so I'm going to do that along with or instead of the goal that I set for myself. We're just doing a check-in with ourselves. Any questions? Hit me up. Of course, there's a write-up in Guide 17 of the Get Up and Go Challenge. Get Up and Go Challenge private Facebook group page. I'll learn how to say that by the end of the challenge, I'm sure. Anyway, help, ask. If you need help, ask. Otherwise, I'll be with you tomorrow. Have an awesome day and have fun with this. We're just checking back with how we're doing. It's not a big stressful thing. It's just a checking in with ourselves to see what's up and what we need to tweak if we need to tweak anything. All right, have an awesome day.